Alright, what's up y'all, it's LakerFan here. As you can see by the title of today's video, here to rank all the finishing badges and tiers in NBA 2K22 Next Gen for Season 5. So, hope y'all enjoy. If you do, for the drop a like, sub if you're new to the noties, all that good stuff, and like always, try to 500 likes. Now this is going to be a quick one. I think we want to be pretty informational about just showing you how I feel about the badges rather than to be sitting here and talking about them and detailing them for 5 minutes a piece. So we're just going to go ahead and talk about ones that haven't changed for a very small amount of time, probably like 5 to 10 seconds. And I'm going to just give a brief overview on how I feel about ones that haven't changed. And then the ones that have changed, I will give a little bit of an opinion as to why I have changed them, or the changes that I feel like they've been made gameplay wise, or just why I've woken up to the badge being better or worse. So anyway, we're gonna get straight into this. Hope y'all enjoy. Alright, so ironically, the first two badges that we have to showcase, they actually did move Teardropper and Giant Slayer down from the D tier to the E tier. In case you didn't catch on as well, in every single tier list video that I do, the text color is gonna indicate what they were in Season 4. So for Season 5, I'm moving them down from the D tier to the E tier, but the text color of being blue indicates that they were originally a D tier badge to me. Now, Teardropper and Giant Slayer, I just think these are really just mini guard badges that don't correlate to even being good at being a mini guard. At this point, if you are a small guard, I highly recommend you just go to 74 driving dunk, or 75 for that matter, for silver limitless takeoff and quick drops off 1. That's literally all you need. And if you're going to come out here and do floaters or Giant Slayer type stuff, then at that point, unfortunately, I'm going to be telling you guys, I think you're just doing it wrong. Personally, I don't think layups are good in this game. I sit here and watch Ticino come out on Next Gen and play the 1v1 court and get his stuff swatted every single play. It's hilarious to see, to be honest with you. And I love Ticino, but it was pretty ridiculous to see someone come out here and try and do actual rack attack type stuff with no driving dunk. And if you are someone who has a super high driving layup and doesn't have any dunk to you, I just personally feel like you're being very susceptible to getting your stuff blocked. And me personally, as a 7'3" center playing rec and stuff like that, or team pro-am, I wish someone would come into the paint with no dunk and come out here and try and do teardroppers over my head. It just doesn't work. That's just how I feel. If you disagree, I understand. Maybe you have a different perspective on it than me, but I personally can never ever see this being something that I would respect in a gameplay style trying to be competitive. And at the end of the day, unfortunately for you guys that are trying to have fun and stuff like that, I'm ranking these in terms of competitive play. It's literally just all it is. So I understand if teardroppers are fun to you and you want to use them very consistently, that's a totally perfectly fine thing. But again, I'm here to put people onto the best badges possible and give my opinion on how good they are from a competitive standpoint, and those two just don't cut it. Postman Technician is another one where it's very underwhelming, to be honest with you. You would think postspins are really good, but honestly, they just don't get you much separation anymore. I honestly rather would value the post-spin animations rather than the ability to actually shed people off you while doing them. I think it's more of a finesse thing rather than a power thing now. So if there's any sense of that made, all I'm telling you is Postman Technician doesn't really body people off you like it used to, and I just don't think it's that good. It's still a decent badge. D tier isn't really horrible. I think E tier and below is definitely just the awful badges that aren't even worth running. And in this year's game, I don't really see many of my tier lists having E tier or F tier badges. There's very rarely any, and a lot of the badges are pretty balanced and good. They took out stuff like pass fake maestro and pump fake maestro and stuff like that. So anyway, like I said, we're not gonna talk about this stuff for too long. So Postman Technician, that's how I feel. All right, so into the C tier, we have 3 badges that are also staying put from where they were in Season 4. We have Backdown, Punisher, Dream Shake, and Acrobat. So to start us from the bottom to the top, Acrobat, I feel like, is a badge where I value its ability to get you dunks, not layups. Now, I do think this is a pretty respectable badge in terms of the helping of the layups. I know I just talked about Teardropper and Giant Slayer and how bad they are, and that I hate layups from a competitive standpoint, but I still do understand the value of the Acrobat layups. But again, what I value even more is being able to do spin dunks, Euro dunks, stuff like that, hop dunks, etc., etc. And Acrobat gets you a little bit of separation on stuff like that. But it's not an amazing badge. It's not game changing. I don't think it's really the biggest deal, so we have it in the C tier. Dream Shake. This is actually something I slept on very heavily at the beginning of the year. We had it in the F tier. I was like, why would you ever use this? It only works on CPUs. It doesn't only work on CPUs. It's actually like Ankle Breaker for post scores, except if Ankle Breaker gave you shot boosts. In terms of if you break someone's ankles, then you get a shot boost. That's not how Ankle Breaker works, but it is how Dream Shake works. Not only can you stun user players, but if you do get a stun, you get a boost to said maybe shimmy shake, or like shimmy hook, etc., shimmy fade. Or you can hit him with a jab in the post and then do a hook off of it, and boom, there you go. You're getting a boost to your hook or your fade, whatever the case may be for your post move. And it is pretty disgusting, bro. I'm not gonna lie. Dream Shake really could be up in the B tier. I just don't think enough people really use it, and you don't run into this, but this is a very big sleeper badge. I maybe should even have it in the B, like I said. But anyway, again, I think this is definitely a sleeper badge. Backdown Punisher, I just feel like there's really not a whole lot of point in running this, and if you do run it, it's maybe more of just a bronze or silver level. It depends on your build, I suppose. So if you're someone who's very undersized and you have very low strength, yet somehow you can get back down Punisher because your post control is high or something like that, then maybe this is a respectable badge for you to have. But at that point, what I've noticed with my 7-footers and 6'10s and even my 7'3" is you can get to the paint off of dribbling. You can get there with triple threat. You can get there with dribble moves. You can get there with anything really at that point. So unless you're a 7'3" big greasy that has 25 speed with ball and 25 acceleration, I don't think you need back down Punisher to get into the dead zone. If anything, I think it risks like a lot of turnovers a little bit too much where you could get plucked, or maybe the chair pulls as well. So again, back down Punisher, I don't respect a whole lot as far as ranking it competitively, but it definitely still makes a little bit of sense for the 7'3s out there who don't have any ability to get themselves down into the paint except for backing people down. Now, you can still do it off pick and roll, though. That's a whole nother thing as well if you're playing 2s, 3s, 5s, whatever the case may be. This is really more of a 1v1 badge, if you ask me. All right, so moving along, we have one that's actually making an increase, so we're going to talk about this. It's going from the C tier to the B tier. We have Unstrippable. This is actually something that I have become a little bit more accepting of as I've been on other inside bigs in the comp pro-am scene. And if you're a guard, I don't think this is really the biggest deal, to be honest with you. Generally, you're going to be in a situation where if someone was playing you too high, you are going for the dunk and they're completely out of the play. And let alone, they're not going for a strip if you're ahead of them. If the defender is behind you and you're going in for that dunk, they're definitely going for a chase down, and that's it. They cannot get the ball strips. That's not going to be a thing. So for guards, I don't think Unstrippable is generally that important, but for bigs, huge, huge, huge. If you have, let's say, a 7'3" center and you're playing comp pro-am where they put the 6'9s on you in the backside defense and then they have the 7'3" in the corner, sometimes you can get that 6'9" stuck in hedge defense and stuck on you, and you could just drop step him out. Now here's the thing, you're probably asking, well, where does dropstepper rank? You have it in the A tier. It's actually gonna be dropping down. I'll just give you a spoiler alert on that. I don't even think that dropstepper is that important. It's actually, in my opinion, a little bit more about making sure you don't lose the ball. I think you can definitely perform drop steps with literally just bronze, and it's as easy as that against people that don't have very high interior defense. Now, if you wanted to, let's say, come out here against some 7'3", super high interior D, Hall of Fame brick wall, Hall of Fame post move lockdown, then yes, you definitely need drop stepper to be able to perform that type of stuff. And let's say he has ball stripper. You also, because you are doing that drop step mechanic, need to value Unstrippable if you're doing stuff like that. So for inside bigs, and especially just for paint mashing too, there will be times if you're on the 1v1 court or pro-am, any situation that you are a big man who's sitting in the paint with the ball in your hands and a guard is trying to rip you. If you time it at the wrong time and you go up and you don't have Unstrippable, you're getting screwed sometimes, man. You are absolutely getting poked by someone who cannot guard you. So this is your one badge to make it so that the people who can't guard you literally cannot guard you. But if you don't have this, people are going to be getting the strips and it's just going to be a tough scene for you. So Unstrippable, definitely a very respectable badge for centers, but again, for guards, don't think this is super necessary. All right, so a lot to talk about in this B tier. You're going to see we have literally 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 badges in the B tier. Some moving up, some moving down, some staying put. So we'll start with the ones that are staying put. We have Fearless Finisher, Pro Touch, Hook Specialist, Putback Boss, and Lob City Finisher. So for Pro Touch and Hook Specialist, very simply put, I only value Pro Touch in the sense of making it for hook shots. That's literally it. I don't value it in a layup sense. You should absolutely have your layup timing off. So Pro Touch is a strictly post hook badge. And obviously Hook Specialist is another strictly post hook badge. So post hooks in general, they're pretty good, especially if you have these badges on. Even if you don't have them on at a high level, it's still pretty doable, but these really amplify that even more. Hooks are really tough to deal with, and especially in a sense where if you guys watch the Pro-Am videos, if we have a, say, Tonic Keyboard, my boy, who has a 7'3" center that has 93 close shot and really good ability to make them hooks. And I am on a 7'3" center myself. We run 2 of them, and I have Hall of Fame Rebound Chaser, 99 O board. You can run that toxic stuff where one dude is throwing up the hook, super contested, and maybe it'll go in, maybe it won't. And even if it doesn't, I'm down there for the rebound. So that is a playstyle on 5s that still works pretty good if you go into the rec with it as well. I'm sure it'll irritate a lot of those small bodies, especially. And it's pretty unstoppable, to be honest with you. So they definitely still belong in the B tier. I don't think they should really be any higher, though. I don't think it really makes the same difference to your build as it would, say, the A tier and the S tier badges we're going to have right here. Moving along, we have Lob City Finisher. This is a one... Moving along, we have Lob City Finisher. This is one that's very easy to explain. All it does is open up your window for the dunk meter on lobs. Literally simple as that. And I highly recommend you at least put it on bronze. Even silver is really good and really budget. I think You shouldn't really run it any higher than that. To be honest with you, it's very rare that people even throw lobs in this game, and it's generally because people can't make them, and because the reason that they can't make them is because they don't run Lob City Finisher. That's definitely how I feel. If you have this on bronze, it opens up your window tremendously. I definitely recommend to run this if you have even any more than like 65 driving dunk or 70, anything like that. It makes a lot of sense to have this on. It's a really good budget badge, but you don't need to have it at a high level. So that's why we're going to keep it in the B tier. And it doesn't impact the gameplay a whole lot. So it's just something that's a nice accessory badge to help you make alley-oop dunks. Simple as that. Now listen, for Fearless Finisher, a lot of people feel many different ways about this badge and what it does for you. I think that it helps you finish through fatigue and prevent yourself from getting more fatigue when you're dunking, and just in general, I just feel like it helps you dunk more, honestly. Now, that's a stupid thing of saying because it's not what it says the badge does, but I generally feel like a better finisher when I have this badge on. It's literally simple as that. That's how I'd put it, and again, helps you avoid getting more fatigued and you finish through fatigue better. That's just how I feel. Honestly, it's a pretty solid badge. You can make the case that it maybe belongs in the C tier though. I gave it a little bit of love just because I'm a slasher at heart and I love this badge, what it does for me. And with my undersized bigs, like the 6'10" inside or the 6'9" that I even have driving dunk on still, but it's not an inside, or for instance the 6'10" that I have. Honestly, all of those builds, having Fearless Finisher on them versus my tall ones that don't have it, I feel so much better about just driving dunk in general. Anyway, for our last badge that's going to be staying in the B tier, we have Putback Boss. Pretty solid badge overall. Honestly, I don't value it super highly. My boy IQ, when he's out the corner, sometimes he goes for putback dunks. I think it's more of a troll thing, to be honest with you. If you have it on bronze, you can still get and perform putback dunks. Some people can even do it without it, but I think you have to be in a really good position for it. Overall, though, the only thing I really value this from a comp standpoint is for actually grabbing the rebound and then going back up with it. That's how I personally feel. I don't think that the X dunks are really competitive or like really that worth the badge point, to be honest with you. But again, for a center, grabbing the rebound and going back up with it, it makes a whole lot of sense to have. It's very cheap as well if you have good standing dunk. I get it for 3 badge points for gold. You could definitely run this on only like bronze or silver though, and it would make a lot of sense. I think it just depends on your finishing badge count if you can afford to do something like this, but it's mostly for only inside centers, I would say. I think if you have a good close shot rating and you have a good standing dunk rating, you should run Putback Boss to help you get more standing contact dunks and just help you nullify the contest that you get on your close shots. All right, and then lastly, we have Rise Up and Dropstepper. Once again, just to kind of put these two badges into the same category of Unstrippable and Dropstepper, I think I don't know if you have to have Dropstepper at a super high level to be able to perform this against people that you generally are going to want to drop step. Now, I don't think smart people are going to be going at a 7'3" in like a huge 7'3" super high weight center that has like 99 strength and Hall of Fame brick wall and try to take him into the post. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. If you are in a situation like that, you're probably down really bad. Now, I think you could afford to have Dropstepper at a high level to be playing against people like that, but it's very rare that you do run into stuff like that. And again, in most situations, you're probably a 7'3" center who has Dropstepper. You're probably being guarded by a smaller player, and you just want to take advantage of their lack of height and their lack of strength. And I don't think you need a super high level of Dropstepper to do so. So that's why we're moving it down from the A to the B tier. It's still a good badge. I highly recommend running this on at least like bronze or silver, but I don't think you have to have it super high to be able to dominate people. And then for Rise Up, I've had this in the A tier or the S tier pretty much all year. Progressively has gone down because I'm starting to realize you don't have to value standing dunks so highly. I mean, you can still get a close shot, and with how hard it is to get contest with hands up D, you really don't need to dunk the ball very often. I would even make the case that you could get away with a build that has 25 standing dunk as an inside center. Now, it sounds dumb. It sounds really, really dumb, but close shot like layups are really easy to make, and you can be very patient with them. That's the other thing. With driving layups, you can't be patient with them. Why? Because you have to commit to going for that driving layup as you're running into the hoop. If you don't have standing dunk, it's really no difference. I mean, you can just mash it out in the paint, and it's super hard to contest, especially considering, once again, like I said, you can be way more patient with it. It's so uncontestable, and just all these badges right here also add to it. So let's just talk about it. Mouse in the house, fast twitch, and grace under pressure, they add a lot of value in the sense of you don't even need to have standing dunk ability. So overall, I just think Rise Up has gone down with the value of standing dunk rating also going down. But I still think if you are someone that has a really high standing dunk rating, it is kind of gross, man. I do have that 7-footer that you guys have seen on the channel, and I do have Hall of Fame Rise Up with like 99 standing dunk and both contact dunk packages for the bigs, and it does go crazy, bro. You can definitely get some contact dunk packs out that, and it's definitely good, but it's just not really valuable like these badges right here are. So anyway, we're gonna move along. Also, I just realized I didn't even have Posterizer on the list over here the whole time, so hopefully the comments aren't getting on me too crazy for that. But anyway, to move along with the list, everything else will be staying the same. I have Slithery Finisher, Mouse in the House, Limitless Takeoff, and Posterizer staying in the A tier, and then we have Grace Under Pressure and Fast Twitch in the S. Now, this is in inverse order. I think Grace Under Pressure is the best finishing badge in the game. The list verticality-wise doesn't really change much, but anyway, let's talk about these 4 right here. So, the big glaring issue right here for most people is probably be Posterizer staying in the A tier. I think personally that this isn't a huge deal of a badge. I think it's very overrated in most people's sense, but it's still a very, very good badge. So it's something that's going to help you get contact dunks. It helps you not get pulled out of them, but I don't think it increases your meter size when it comes to going for contact dunks at the meter. Maybe this is a very important badge for people who use the X button. Maybe I'm being biased in that sense because I never go for contact dunks with the X or up on the right stick or anything like that. It's always down and with the contact dunk meter. And me personally, I feel like all this badge does for me is help me not get kicked out of them as much. Now, I think that low-key Slithery Finisher is a better badge than Posterizer. I don't think it's in the area of a S tier like Grace Under Pressure and Fast Twitch are, but it's still, honestly, like I said, I think it's a better badge than Posterizer. Now, these 3 right here are huge for driving dunkers. Like, obviously, you have Slithery Finisher, Posterizer, Limitless Takeoff. They all combine into being the 3 best badges for driving dunkers. I think, low-key, you should value Mouse in the House as well if you are, like, let's say a 6'8" or a 6'9" metric or something like that, because you can absolutely get a bigger meter with having Mouse in the House if you are a taller build. So let's say, again, 6'9" metric is probably the best example of this. You're super tall, you still have 92 plus driving dunk rating, and you can get all types of different contact dunk packages. Running all 4 of these combined can get really, really glitchy, bro, when it comes to driving dunk ability. But as we know, Mouse in the House has 2 abilities. It's driving dunk ability and low-key driving layup, and standing dunk and standing layup for that matter. So it actually has 4, but what I'm saying is it's good in a driving and a standing sense. And mostly for standing, I will say I think it's best for negating contest for the close shot rating and just paint mashing and stuff like that. I don't think you should be relying upon Mouse in the House to get you more standing contact dunks, but it definitely is harder to contest people when you are super tall and you have Hall of Fame Mouse in the House, and let's say you're maybe 3 inches shorter than them or something. So if you're a 7-footer trying to contest a 7'3", or especially glaring issue is a 6'9" trying to contest a 7'3" or 7'2". It's a general thing you run into in Pro-Am a whole lot, to run into those situations, and honestly, you can take advantage of them. It's literally as simple as that. But I don't think it's as good as Grace Under Pressure, so Mouse in the House by default just kind of gets dropped down in the A tier because of that. Limitless Takeoff is a badge where you can value it at many different ratings of it. So at bronze and silver, first of all, bronze and quick drops off 1 is good. Silver with quick drops off 1 is really, really good in a really good budget, 100%, and both of them really are. To have 65 driving dunk and bronze Limitless Takeoff, really good budget, and then silver with 74, really great budget. But past that, I think it becomes a little bit less valuable to an extent, though. I will say, though, for a contact dunker, the more you can have this, the better, because it means the further you can get put into contact dunk animations, and you do want that. So if you do value contact dunks, I think gold is a really good level to have it at, and then I think past that, Hall of Fame is maybe a little bit overdoing it, but you could still make a good case for that if you do, like I said, like to go for contact dunks. But again, bronze and silver, really good budget, so that's even more reason to have it higher on this list. You could maybe even make the case that it's an S tier badge if you were just a guard, and that's one of the best badges in the game. You have to have this on bronze or silver, 100%. So anyway, moving along, we have Grace Under Pressure and Fast Twitch. We'll start with Fast Twitch. Obviously, this accelerates the fact of you going up for standing dunks or standing layups, and just in general, it's hard to counter because Pogo Stick isn't quite as good. Now, I do still think Pogo Stick is solid. I have it in the A tier for the defensive badges, actually, and honestly, the only reason for that is to combat the fact that Fast Twitch is so good. So it says something. It's like drafting corners for Randy Moss if he's in your division. I'll just put it like that. That's why Pogo Stick is so important, because Fast Twitch is so good. So with all that considered, honestly, it makes paint mashing what it is. If you had to go up a whole lot slower with the pump fakes and you couldn't bait people into jumping as much, it wouldn't be quite as good as it is, because then it'd be so predictable that you're going up for it and you'd be easier to block. But again, because you have Fast Twitch, you can just bait people into the pump fakes, and then once they go, you fit that window in to be able to go up while they're still on their way down from their jump. So Fast Twitch equals OP. It's literally as simple as that. Now, some people have this theory that it works for driving dunks. That is not the case. 100% not the case. I can guarantee that. So just put that out of your mind if that's something that you think. But anyway, moving along with Grace Under Pressure, this is what's going to allow you to hit extremely contested shots in the paint. It's literally as simple as that. This is not a standing dunk badge. It's strictly a standing layup badge. And I think this is what makes it so much of the case of me saying why you don't need standing dunks. Grace Under Pressure honestly devalues Rise Up. It's because standing dunk ability is not quite as important because standing layup ability is so overpowered. So, pairing everything together, 7'3", Grace Under Pressure, Fast Twitch, Mouse in the House, all three of those badges combined, it is so hard to deal with people paint mashing. And as we all know, interior defense is very tough to play in this game. And I think if they just buffed Pogo Stick and made it actually like good, it would make a whole lot of sense. I think they're scarred though. I think they're scared and scarred by people complaining about it in 2K20 saying it took no skill. Well, the problem is interior paint mashing wasn't as good in 2K20. So now we had 2K20 where Pogo Stick was OP and interior paint mashing was bad. Now we have 2K22 where Pogo Stick isn't quite as good and interior paint mashing is ridiculously OP. So it's two things that counteract each other, and I personally feel like if they buffed Pogo, you'd be seeing a lot of balance to it, but that's just my take on it. It's maybe patching up a problem in the game that requires too many patches. And if you did in reverse where you try to patch paint mashing, I think you would see it take a whole lot more time and a whole lot more badges to nerf if it were something like that instead of just buffing the defense. So I just think with how many things you'd have to nullify with Grace Under Pressure and Fast Twitch, Mouse in the House, and then just the contesting in general of being a smaller player trying to contest someone that's bigger than you. I will say though, Pogo Stick will bail out smaller defenders in terms of guarding bigger people because you absolutely have to jump to get a contest on them. So maybe that's something that bigger people don't want because obviously they want to abuse the fact that they're tall, and that's what they made their build for, was to dominate smaller people on the interior. Just makes sense, right? So I don't know. Overall, I think the game is not in a great place when it comes to interior paint scoring. I think it's way too easy. I think you should definitely try to make things like post hooks that actually take a little bit of skill be something involved. And just in general, I mean, all you have to do is hold your X button down low. So I don't like seeing it, yet I'm on a 7'3" myself right now. I can acknowledge that though. I do think that it's really stupid how easy it is to score on the interior, especially against smaller people, and that they don't have any way to really fight back, to be honest with you. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. If you want to leave yours in the comments, feel free to. If you made it to the end of the vid, put finish or slash in the comments to show your sportsman all the way through to the end of the video. And then, like always, let's try to win to 500 likes. And on that, I hope you all enjoyed. And we will have the playmaking one directly after this. My boy who does the thumbnails is busy over the next 2 days, so we're going to be doing back-to-back ones right here because I just have these in the vault. So we're just going to be doing playmaking for tomorrow's video. And then we should be back to our regularly scheduled program. We're going to be doing probably a lot of Pro-Am content over the next few days and really weeks or month for that matter. So stay tuned for that if you like it. And we'll probably have a little bit of park and stuff like that mixed in. I might even have some rec for you guys if you want to see it. It's some pretty cool stuff over this double XP rec. I think it was weekend, right? It was like Sunday and Saturday. So yeah. Anyway, that's all video. Like I said, if you made it to the end of the vid, put finish or slash in the comments and feel free to leave your feedback. Let me know if you think I got any of this wrong, and I'm sure some people might have something to say about Posterizer being not over here. But anyway, that's all video. Hope you all enjoyed. And on that, take it easy, man. Peace.